What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, yesterday, Nintendo did outline their Black Friday sales for 2024, giving us a look at their final holiday with the Switch as the sole platform for them, and we'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Sony, who released an ad that at first looked pretty normal, but then caused a ton of speculation online, and it didn't help that they actually had to delete the original one and then repost it. And then we also have to take a look at Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy, that definitive edition. Well, it looks like finally, years later, they've actually fixed it. So if you guys enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And of course, members for the channel do get Newswave early. If you would like to learn more about that, click the join button down below this video. And we're going to start today with Shift Up and Stellar Blade, as they did talk quite a bit about their crossover they're having with Nier Automata that we went over yesterday in Newswave. But there was something else when it came to another release for the game. We can see this is posted up. This is over on Gamatsu, and this from Shift Up, as they were asked discussing their Q3 2025 earnings. When it comes to a PC release, they're aiming for a 2025 release, going on to say, given recent trends like Steam's growing presence in the AAA games market and the global success of Black Myth Wukong, we're expecting the PC version to perform even better than the console version, which, yeah, if you look at the number of Steam accounts out there, tons and tons, hundreds of millions of people are logging into Steam, and you would assume, yes, they have a shot at having even a more successful launch there. Although it didn't do bad on PlayStation 5, but I would assume Steam is good for millions of copies there throughout its lifetime, so this would be another big release for Stellar Blade and Shift Up. Also, the game will probably look incredible on PC, especially if you have a nice video card and setup, just based on what it looks like currently on the PlayStation 5 Pro, but they are aiming for 2025, so we'll see how far into the year they have to get before they're ready to release it. Also, speaking of PC releases, Stalker 2 is coming up here pretty soon in November, and they released this. These would be the system requirements. Now, there's also something here when it comes to the Xbox release, which they are targeting 60 FPS from what's been kind of discussed in previews and that kind of thing, but they do have it listed here with a pretty substantial requirement when it comes to your storage, 160 gigabytes, this being on an SSD, of course, but even on the Xbox Series, it was like over 150 gigabytes, so not a small game by any measure, and then of course day one patches and that kind of thing. But if you look at the high recommended 1440p, 60 FPS, which is right around what I would be targeting, although I'd have like an ultra wide monitor, so I'd have to see maybe how that plays into there. But on my current setup, I have a 3080 Ti. Based on the GPU requirements, I should be in good shape here, but the system requirements are about in line with what I'd expect for a graphically intensive, like AAA style game, so it seems pretty straightforward there, but I'll be very curious to see how it performs on the Xbox Series X with image quality while they're targeting 60 FPS. Oh, and we did get a release date for the next, what I think, awesome looking a side-scroller beat-em-up retro style game. Of course, we also have Power Rangers that's coming up in December, but before then, you can see G.I. Joe, Wrath of Cobra. This is coming to PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. It is launching November 21st, so like just over a week from now. And again, I really like the kind of really the renaissance we're seeing of side-scrolling beat-em-up style games. Yes, they're tapping a bunch of licenses that we really enjoyed when we were younger, like a G.I. Joe, like a Power Rangers, like a Ninja Turtles, but they're fun. And it does call back to that nostalgia bone, but I don't know, it's a good time. And I really like to see like spins on G.I. Joe after we've had some pretty bad G.I. Joe games recently. It's nice when you see something like this, you know what to expect, but you also know you're gonna jump in and have a blast. So yeah, I'll be checking this one out actually when it comes out again in a little over a week. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Nintendo and their Black Friday sales, which we are going to be seeing a ton of Black Friday ads start to get out online. Some probably leaking early, others probably a few days, I assume, before Black Friday happens later on this month. Although, who knows? Black Friday starts earlier and earlier and earlier, it seems, every single year. I think I saw Walmart recently started up Black Friday like now, so I don't know, some of it's online, some of it's in store. It's kind of scattershot currently. I do kind of miss the days of, look, this is when it's happening. You got to camp out if you want the big deals, and people would do it. But now we can see Nintendo giving us an idea as to what we can expect at some of these retailers. This is over, we can see on their sales and deals page with Black Friday with Nintendo. Now they do outline a bunch of different games and of course their hardware, but they say beginning on November 24th, check out select local retailers. They list Best Buy, GameStop, Target, and Walmart for deals on Nintendo games, including $20 off suggested retail price. Now the games they have here, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. The game has sold really well, but if you've been holding out, hoping for some kind of sale, maybe pushing it even below the $60 mark, in this case, $20 off makes it $50 because remember, that was a $70 MSRP release from Nintendo. So look, it's a big game. I thought it was worth the $70, so it's surely worth the $50 if you've been kind of on the fence for that. Now, going down a tier, we have Super Mario Maker 2, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Pikmin 4, the physical copy of Nintendo Switch Sports, and then Kirby and the Forgotten Land. All of these being good games, clearly, but I mean, I really like Kirby and the Forgotten Land, a fun spin on the Kirby formula, something new. And of course, Animal Crossing New Horizons, ton of content there. Those being $40 each, again, $20 off. And then we can move to, I think, two of the better deals right now. Yes, Super Mario Odyssey is old. It came out the launch year of the Switch, so 2017. But if you haven't played it, it is technically the last 3D Mario game, big 3D, new 3D Mario game we've had. And then Pikmin 1 and 2, which these are $30 each. Pikmin 1 and 2 seems pretty good at $30, $15 each, and you can get a physical copy of, I don't want to say it's going to be a rare game in the future, but it's certainly one that won't be printed as much as some of these 10 or 20 million unit sellers. They also mentioned $20 off suggested retail price of Neon Red and Neon Blue Joy-Con controllers and the Switch Pro controller, which, okay, that's not a bad idea to pick up another Pro controller. Maybe if you've had yours the entire generation, you get a fresh one there. And then $10 off suggested retail price of a Switch carrying case and screen protector. That'd be the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom edition. And of course, we can't forget, guys, we cannot forget this, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Bundle. All right, they wanted to point this out to you. You know, it's $300. This bundle has been running the entire generation. I mean, really, Nintendo held firm. They never buckled on this one every single year. And I guess this would be, actually, I don't want to say it's the last year because I assume they'll still be selling the Switch next holiday, even if it's next to their brand new system. And I would assume Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Bundle would be there as well, but still, it's tried and true, seems to work for them, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe continues to be the most popular game on the system, so I guess why not pair it with the system itself and try to sell more copies. And while these are the deals that are outlined by Nintendo at this time, you can still see retailers maybe throw gift cards in with certain things, or even just run their own bundle deals or online specials, whether it's Black Friday or Cyber Monday. So this is just kind of a baseline, I feel like, with those retailers that they listed here. So you never know, you can see GameStop do some stuff maybe with their used games, so we'll keep an eye on them. And then sometimes you get like a wild card thrown in there from a Best Buy or a Walmart where they take some games they have a ton of stock for and they'll mark them down to $10 or $15. So I'll keep you guys posted on some of the other Black Friday deals that pop up, but for now, we have Nintendo at least presenting them on their website. I'll leave a link down below if you wanted to go through it a bit more. Next up, let's talk about Sony in a very strange set of events. They posted what looked like a pretty standard PlayStation advertisement online. They put it up on like Twitter, and then they also put it on YouTube. It just seemed like a standard commercial. At the end of it, however, they had a price drop. Well, at least that's one that was presented. It seems like it's going to be just a holiday discount, which we do actually have a slide of it here that Wario64 captured. And we can see it's the PlayStation 5 Slim console starting at $380 MSRP, which that would be a $70 price drop then from the typical $450 mark. And we had already heard about this from Bill, so I saw that. I said, okay, yeah, that's what we were expecting. However, Bill also posted that there was a discount on the disc-based system as well. The one was equipped with a disc drive, and that was like $430 or $425. So that was also marked down that roughly $70 price point. Okay, but something strange happened. That entire ad was pulled. Like, they deleted it from YouTube and then they re-uploaded it under the same title. They got rid of that final slide that had that price drop to it. So I don't know if this went out early. I mean, it feels like it did if they decided to revise it that quickly. Like, it was maybe 2 or 3 hours. They pulled it and put the new one up. So hard to say. I almost wonder if maybe they just posted it too early. Like that final slide was there earlier than they wanted because it said it was going to run all the way until like December 24th. So basically the entirety of the holiday season. This seems like it will go up when Sony releases a press release, and basically what Nintendo's done here with their Black Friday stuff, that's kind of what I'm envisioning here with this, because we should have something for a Fortnite bundle with the disc-based system as well. So I'm thinking Sony will probably post that slide again, either at the end of this week or next week to start outlining their Black Friday situation. However, something else popped up here because as this ad was playing, people realized that there was almost like a date that was posted up. It looked kind of like a time at the end for the year, but it was a quick flash during the advertisement, and people saw it as 3/12/2024. And then they looked at it again and said, wait a minute, is that March 12th, 2024? Or is that maybe the time format or the way it's written out in the dates in like Europe, for example, and other places in the world where it actually says December 3rd, 2024. And that would line up really, really nicely for Sony's 30th anniversary. Okay, so I think that very well could be, okay, an Easter egg for just that. Some people are looking at that as, wait a minute, that's a showcase for Sony, and that would fall on a Tuesday in the first week of December. Is that possible? It actually is, because they have had a December or State of Play before, and if you remember, that's where they had an entire spot for Ghost of Tsushima, and they followed it up saying you can see the rest of the trailer at the Game Awards. So it could be a similar situation where, yeah, they have some kind of showcase in the first week of December, and then it leads into the Game Awards, and maybe they have something they want to announce there like Wolverine, which apparently has been rumored to making an appearance before the end of this year. Seems like that lines up almost too perfectly, and maybe that is an Easter egg that they threw in there as just kind of a fun thing. Remember, this is the same company that technically had the PS5 Pro teased in that like 30th anniversary wallpaper. We knew about that because we had the drawings and we could spot it, but if we didn't, it would have just been a fun Easter egg that they placed there. Could this be something like that once again? Or is this them once again paying homage to the 30th anniversary of that date, December 3rd, 1994? Well, I guess we'll find out in 3.5 weeks or so as we go into December, since they'd probably want to announce that State of Play or that PlayStation experience at least a few days before, maybe even the week before, since that would then fall on a Tuesday. I guess we'll see. Next up, let's talk about that Grand Theft Auto Trilogy, the definitive edition that was anything but definitive when it came out. I mean, it was kind of a laughingstock just based on some of the technical issues, the graphics situation. There was some weird stuff happening in the trifecta of titles, which the games themselves are good games. Some of them, yeah, maybe haven't aged the best. Like you could say Grand Theft Auto 3, it's certainly a product of its time. San Andreas, though, I think you can still pick it up today and have a blast with it and even still be impressed by certain parts. But the definitive edition for the trilogy didn't really do it any justice. Well, it seems like a pretty significant update was pushed, which we can see. This is posted up. This is over on Rockstar Intel. They say the update is now live on Xbox Series X, S, PlayStation 5, and all PC storefronts, Steam, Rockstar Games Launcher, and Epic Game Store. Unfortunately, Rockstar have confirmed this is not going to be applied to PS4, Xbox One, or Nintendo Switch with the visual updates or any of the features. They do have the file sizes here, but we also have screenshots across the board showcasing some of the updates, and yeah, I gotta say, it looks pretty good. Like, much better in terms of the lighting, for example, but also they have made some improvements when it comes to the controls, like running and shooting, and other things are a bit better. But this, I feel like, is what we had with so the mobile version of this game came out, and somehow it was better than the console versions, which seems weird, but there was apparently a different company that worked on those versus Grove Street Games, whose name has now been removed from this version after the patch, by the way, so there you go. That kind of explains it. But yeah, if you haven't like turned these on in a while, I mean, I would check it out now after this patch because they just look significantly improved here. And actually some of the patch fixes and stuff are pretty vague in general. So there might be other things that people discover as they go along, but I am happy that they didn't necessarily just give up on this trilogy. I mean, again, it's a very important series of games for Rockstar and for Take-Two. And yeah, it took them 3 years to get it right, but at least they came back and got it right. Now, they've also sold incredibly well. I think they mentioned like 10 million copies or something the last update, so maybe they felt a need to go back and update it because there might be more sales potential for this trilogy going forward. So again, if you haven't checked it out since the update, I'd fire at least one of them up, have the update push, and see what you think. And in our last bit of news, I want to point something out here for Xbox going into what we believe to be their next generation in a couple of years, because there is something they need to sort out going into that generation. We can see this. This is over on SanDisk's website, as a new Western Digital Black C50 storage expansion card for the Xbox was announced. It's the 2 terabyte variant of it, and it's coming in at $200. Now, at this time, we have Seagate and we have Western Digital creating these licensed Xbox memory cards, basically, or expansion cards. And because of that, there's just a lack of competition versus what we saw with PlayStation's avenue here, where they went with NVMe storage. And for the most part, as long as the speed matches up, you can pick and choose whatever you want from the free market. And I feel like that's the path Microsoft has to go for next generation. I understand why they went with the expansion cards. In their mind, it was easier. It took a lot of the stress away from consumers for having to install the things, and it made them plug and play, so it was easy to walk around between one Xbox or the other. But honestly, I put my NVMe in my PlayStation 5, and then I haven't necessarily felt the need to have to remove it and walk around with it to another one. I did that with the PlayStation 5 Pro, and when I popped it into the Pro, I didn't have to reinstall or wipe the thing. It actually just had the games available, and as long as I logged in my licenses, everything was there, so it's actually pretty seamless. But even on my Xbox, I have one of these expansion cards. I did a video on it, and it's been plugged into my Xbox ever since. I never unplugged it. So I just don't know if that feature, that convenience is worth the trade-off of having to rely on 2 companies and hope that they keep the market within reason for pricing around this stuff, because it just hasn't seemed to bear any fruit for that. So at this point, here's hoping Microsoft is kind of reading the room, seeing the advantage of just opening up to NVMe storage that is significantly faster even than these expansion cards they have, and maybe going into next generation, they can leverage that side, as opposed to hoping that Western Digital and Seagate can get a bit more on board even early on in the generation. Remember, we're just now getting a 2 terabyte 4 years in. So here's hoping Microsoft is something they're looking to address next generation that, again, by all accounts and rumors, could be starting in the next 2 to 2.5 years. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked which PlayStation controller that came with the console was your favorite. Wow, the DualSense, 51%. 22% on the PS4 DualShock 4. Oh, the PS3 6-axis. Thank you everyone. Okay, good. I feel some redemption here, because that is my least favorite PlayStation controller, is that 6-axis. DualShock 3 is not bad. I think DualShock 2 is there at 19%. I just feel like the DualShock 2 or the original PlayStation controller should have a disadvantage because they're wired, but really kind of the feel of the controller, even that moment in time, that snapshot in time when they released, the DualSense controller I think is pretty good. I see some people mention like hand cramping for it. I haven't really experienced that much. Like, I've sat down and played PS5 for quite some time, like long play sessions. I just haven't had that, but I have heard people mention that. So to me, yeah, it's actually the DualSense controller. It's my favorite PlayStation controller so far. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Sure, who says, the harder Nintendo goes on Switch emulation, the more convinced I become that a main reason for Switch 2's delay is that the architecture is so similar that the system is day one hackable. Switch 2 could become a PSP moment for Nintendo. I would be shocked if the Nintendo's next system, the Switch 2, came out and within the first year it was hacked. I feel like Nintendo realized what happened here with the first Switch, the Switch one, the one we have now, and they've worked to try to address some of the security measures. You have to do a lot more now versus day one to hack, say, a Switch OLED, to where you are soldering stuff directly to the top of the chip, those little components. So it's not as easy as putting a piece of like metal down there to short the thing into like a safe boot mode or something. None of that. So I do think it's going to be very difficult to hack this next system. I don't think it's going to be impossible, because it seems like everything gets hacked eventually, but at least if it takes longer than a couple of months and there's more roadblocks in the way than having to go to Staples to get a paperclip and then load all your ROMs on the system. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here in a card, or maybe you wanted to listen to the latest Spawncast episode where we talked about the PS5 Pro and Pokemon TCG Pocket and a bunch of other stuff. I'll leave that right below it. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.